1. Tragic updates. Third patient dies after gene therapy from Sarepta. 2. Sarepta Therapeutics. The risky future of gene therapy. Elevidys. 3. Sarepta Therapeutics. A crisis for Duchenne families and gene therapy. 1. Tragic updates. Third patient dies after gene therapy from Sarepta. In a shocking turn of events that has sent ripples through the medical community, the FDA is reportedly considering a call for action. It plans to instruct Sarepta Therapeutics, Incorporated, to temporarily stop shipping its Elevidys gene therapy treatment. But here's where it gets controversial. According to a source familiar with the situation, this step comes after 3 fatal incidents have been linked to the company's experimental gene therapies. Delving into the specifics, in recent months, 2 teenage boys, both afflicted with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, a severe disorder that progressively robs individuals of their ability to walk, succumbed to acute liver failure shortly after receiving Elevidys. Tragically, this isn't the only shadow cast over these innovative treatments. In an additional development that many might overlook, the company announced on Friday that a 51-year-old patient who was participating in an early-stage trial for a gene therapy aimed at combating limb-girdle muscular dystrophy also died from acute liver failure last month. These heart-wrenching outcomes have inevitably raised serious questions about the safety and risk management of cutting-edge gene therapies. They prompt us to reconsider how emerging treatments are balanced against potential dangers, especially when dealing with life-altering conditions. Does this mean that we are witnessing a necessary, albeit painful, phase in the evolution of genetic medicine, or should stricter safety protocols be in place from the beginning? Share your thoughts. Do these developments represent a critical warning sign, or just a temporary setback on the path to groundbreaking cures? 2. Sarepta Therapeutics. The risky future of gene therapy. Elevidys. Imagine a world where a promising treatment for a devastating disease is suddenly at risk of being pulled from the market. This is the harsh reality that Sarepta Therapeutics, a biotech company, is facing after its gene therapy treatment, Elevidys, was put under scrutiny by the FDA. But here's where it gets even more alarming. The treatment's future is uncertain, and this could have a significant impact on the lives of patients who rely on it. The FDA has requested that Sarepta voluntarily stop all shipments of Elevidys, citing concerns over the treatment's safety. This news sent Sarepta's shares plummeting by over 40%, leaving investors and patients wondering what's next. But what's behind this sudden turn of events, and what does it mean for the future of gene therapy? To understand the controversy surrounding Elevidys, let's take a step back and look at the treatment's history. Elevidys was approved by the FDA in 2023 for patients with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, a condition that erodes muscle function over time. The treatment was initially approved for patients between the ages of 4 and 5, but its approval was later expanded to include patients 4 and older who could still walk. However, the treatment's efficacy has been a topic of debate, with some critics arguing that it has yet to clearly prove its benefits. And this is the part most people miss. The FDA's decision to approve Elevidys was not without controversy. The treatment failed to meet its goal in a Phase 3 trial, and some FDA staff members raised concerns about its safety. Despite these concerns, the FDA ultimately decided to approve the treatment, citing its potential benefits for patients with a devastating disease. But now, the FDA is reevaluating its decision, and the consequences could be severe. The agency is investigating 2 patient deaths tied to Elevidys, as well as a 3rd death tied to a separate experimental gene therapy. These safety concerns have sparked a heated debate about the treatment's risks and benefits. On one hand, patients like Charlie, who was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy in 2020, have seen significant improvements after being treated with Elevidys. His mother, Jennifer Hant, says that the treatment has been a game-changer for her son, who is now completely stable 3 years after being dosed. But on the other hand, critics argue that the treatment's risks outweigh its benefits, particularly for patients who are no longer able to walk. The safety concerns surrounding Elevidys are not unique to this treatment alone. Other gene therapies, such as Novartis' Zolgensma, have also been linked to liver toxicity and death. However, the benefit of these treatments is clear, and they have been shown to be effective in treating devastating diseases. So, what's next for Sarepta and Elevidys? The company's executives are trying to reassure investors that the treatment is still safe and effective, but the FDA's decision will ultimately determine its fate. If the FDA pulls Elevidys from the market, it could be a devastating blow to Sarepta, which relies heavily on the treatment for its revenue. As BMO analyst Kostas Biliouris puts it, if the FDA pulls Elevidys from the market, Sarepta is done. But here's the question. Should the FDA prioritize the safety of patients or the potential benefits of a treatment that could be a game-changer for those with devastating diseases? The answer is not an easy one, and it's a decision that will have far-reaching consequences. As we consider the future of gene therapy, we must ask ourselves, what are we willing to risk in pursuit of a cure? And what does it mean for patients who are willing to take that risk? The controversy surrounding Elevidys is a complex one, and it's a reminder that the development of new treatments is never without its challenges. But as we move forward, it's essential that we prioritize both safety and innovation, and that we consider the perspectives of all stakeholders involved. So, we want to hear from you. What do you think about the FDA's decision to scrutinize Elevidys? And what do you think is the right balance between safety and innovation in the development of new treatments? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 3. Sarepta Therapeutics, a crisis for Duchenne families and gene therapy. A devastating setback has rocked both Sarepta Therapeutics and families affected by Duchenne muscular dystrophy, a moment that could reshape the future of gene therapy for this rare disease. Imagine the hope that surged when Elevidys, Sarepta's gene therapy, first became available. For many, it represented not just a treatment, but a lifeline. But here's where it gets controversial. The FDA is now poised to demand a complete halt to all shipments of Elevidys, following a series of tragic patient deaths. Let's break down what happened. Earlier this year, 2 teenagers who received Elevidys sadly passed away. In a separate but related incident, a 51-year-old man participating in a clinical trial for a different type of muscular dystrophy, also using a Sarepta gene therapy, died as well. The most recent of these deaths occurred just a month ago, but the news only surfaced Thursday evening, sending shockwaves through the community. For families who have pinned their hopes on this breakthrough, the potential removal of Elevidys from the market, even temporarily, is nothing short of heartbreaking. The company itself now faces one of its most significant challenges ever, as it navigates the fallout and works with regulators to determine the next steps. And this is the part most people miss. While gene therapies offer unprecedented promise, they also come with risks that are still being understood. Should the FDA pause all access to Elevidys? Or is there a way to balance safety with the urgent needs of patients who have no other options? Some argue that halting the therapy is the only responsible choice, while others believe it could rob desperate families of their last hope. What do you think? Is the FDA right to consider such a drastic measure? Or should patients and families have more say in these life and death decisions? Share your thoughts below. This is a debate that could shape the future of rare disease treatment.